In this chapter, we'll talk about public opinion, political socialization, and the media. And we'll focus in on not only what influences you, but what do you influence as a member of the public. An overview of what we'll be talking about: public opinion, definition that you'll need to know, the aggregate of individual attitudes or beliefs shared by some portion of the adult population. Public opinion is taken by public opinion polls, obviously. We'll see consensus on issues. Consensus is when the public is largely agreeing on an issue. Divided opinion is public is polarized between two distinct positions. Political socialization is the process by which people acquire political beliefs and values. And the media, definition: television, newspapers, radio, magazines, online services, all of which have a significant impact on American society. We'll start with public opinion. In our democracy, people are free to express their opinions, and that helps shape policy. Officials need to recognize the importance of public opinion, and strong support from the public can be a source of power in dealing with other politicians. We're seeing this play out right now in two major issues that are in front of our political system. One is the government shutdown. CBS poll of 1,021 adults, 72% disapprove of shutdown, 25% approve. And one of the more important findings, 44% blame Congress, 35% blame President Obama and Congress. That people are looking at these polls to see which way the public is and what the public is supporting as this issue plays itself out. Another issue right now, debt ceiling. A CNN poll of 803 adults, 56% say it's bad for the country if it's not increased. 38% say it will be a good thing. Again, politicians will be looking at these numbers closely. 53% would hold congressional Republicans responsible. 31% would hold President Obama responsible. So each side looking at those numbers, that helps shape the way they're going to be dealing with this issue. We talk about political socialization. We talk about what it is around you that helps shape your thoughts on issues. As you can see, family and social environment is really the most common source, or are the most common sources of political socialization. What you feel about issues, you'll pick up from your family, you'll pick up from your social environment. Also, a number of demographic factors that come into play when we talk about this. Education. If you have a college degree, what does that mean? Economic status. Higher income tend to favor conservative policies, less government intervention. Democrats, generally laborers, union members, favor the Democrats. Race and ethnicity play a role. Gender, we talk about a gender gap, the difference between the percentage of men and women who vote for a particular candidate or support a particular issue. And geographic region, that plays a role, not as much as it used to, but where you come from. If you're from an urban area, if you're from the Northeast, West Coast, more likely to support Democrats in their positions. From the South, Midwest, smaller communities, rural areas, they tend to be Republican areas. Also, some other areas that are involved in socialization: peers and peer group influence. Opinion leaders, you listen to people you consider experts. Obviously, the media, as well as the influence of political events. What events have helped shape your views, or events like 9/11? How does that shape the way you look at the world and you look at issues? Then we'll talk about media, talk about where people get their news. At the Pew Research Center this year, in a poll of 1,480 adults, 69% use TV as the main source for their national and international news. That's down from 74% in 2001. 50% use the internet. That's up from 13% in 2001. So you can see many, many more people over the past 10, 12 years are turning to the internet to get their news. And that's an issue with what kind of news is out there, what filter it goes through, what kind of editing it goes through. So you generally need to be careful about the news you're getting from the internet, about the source. Is it a legitimate news source, traditional news source, or is there some sort of agenda, or is this news coming from a source that leans a particular way on issues? Also 28% from newspapers. That's down from 45% in 2001 and 23% from radio. You can see with the media has 6 general functions. That their functions include entertainment, include reporting the news. The First Amendment, as we talked about earlier this semester, allows for as free a flow as possible of unbiased information to the public. The media also identifies key issues and reveals what the government is doing or ought to be doing, and that sets the public agenda, or helps set the public agenda. Media also socializes new generations, presenting history, culture, diversity, moral values of Americans, or moral values of America. The media are teaching young people and immigrants what it means to be an American. Media also provide political forum, and also one of the functions of media is to make profits. I want to keep in mind a couple of caveats when we talk about socialization and public opinion polling, and just the issue in general about what we're influenced by. The first caveat is that ironically, a poll was taken to see how much Americans trust American people to make judgments about political issues that are facing the country. Americans' trust in American people has declined each year since 2009. The number 61% in 2013. So 6 out of 10 people trust the American people to make those kinds of judgments. But that's down nearly 20% from the recent peak in 2005, and significantly down as we go over the decades. In the 1970s, that number was 85%. In the 1980s, it was 86%. Since 2001, the average has been 71%. So we see that number coming down as people are polled often about issues, but we're finding that the Americans' trust in how people make those judgments is declining. We're also socialized by media, as we talked about, but it's also important to know that American confidence in media is at a low level, one of the lowest levels ever. A Gallup poll earlier this year, 1,529 adults. Americans' confidence in television news is 23%. Newspapers, 23%. People aren't trusting what they're getting, or their confidence in what they're getting from the media is at very low levels. Media not as low as Congress. This poll found confidence in Congress at 10%, lowest level ever on record. President, 36%. Consistently polling high in Americans' confidence is the military. And when we talk about particular media outlets, we'll find through a public policy poll this year, 800 adults, Fox News is the most trusted and least trusted network in America. That shows how all over the map we are when it comes to how much confidence we have in media. People who trust Fox News really trust Fox News. People who don't trust Fox News really don't trust Fox News. There's a great divide there, both the most trusted, least trusted network. And PBS is the only source more Americans trust than mistrust. So with that, let's talk about some concepts you'll need to know for your quiz. You'll need to know the definition of public opinion. You'll need to know the difference between consensus and divided opinion. You'll need to know what agenda setting is. You'll need to know what the gender gap is. You'll read about the principle of randomness in sampling. How many people are interviewed for Gallup and Roper polls, your general nationwide polls? I've included in this lecture specifically the number of people who were interviewed in these polls, and you can find that number isn't a large number, probably not as large as intuitively you would think. So just a general sense of how many people need to be interviewed for nationwide polls. What is the most trusted institution? Does the public tend to emphasize long-term, immediate, or easily solved problems? What impact have blogs and the internet had on political campaigns? And what have studies of media bias found? You'll find the answers to all of these concepts or all of these questions in your text, as well as the PowerPoint presentation from the text that's under course documents on Blackboard. Good luck.